Welcome everyone. Today's lecture is an academic introduction to zoology. What is it? How life began, how evolution works, and why biodiversity is essential for life on Earth. Section 1 Zoology may seem simple at first glance. It's the study of animals, but the field is much broader. Section 2 Life on Earth began roughly 4 billion years ago. The earliest ancestor we know of is called LUCA. When DNA and RNA evolved, life gained the ability to store information and build complex protein. Mutation, small errors in DNA copying, are not accidents to fear, they are the raw material of evolution. Darwin, Mendel, and Pasteur gave us three essential pillars: natural selection, genetic, and modern microbiology. Ernst Mayr organized Darwin ideas into five principles that define modern evolutionary biology. Natural selection is guided by nature, artificial selection is guided by humans. Both shape the diversity of species. Understanding species classification and the clades help us map the tree of life. Zoologists work everywhere from rainforests to laboratories, protecting and understanding the living world. Conclusion: zoology is not just about studying animals, it's about understanding how life evolved, interacts, and survives. Lecture 1: What do zoologists do? A learning objective: define zoology and describe its scientific scope, explain the origin of life based on fossil and genetic evidence, understanding DNA, RNA, and mutation in evolution, summarize Darwin's theory and Ernst Mayr five evolutionary principles, distinguish natural from artificial selection, understanding species, taxonomy, and the clades, identify what zoologists do and why biodiversity matter. What is zoology? Zoology is the scientific study of animals, how they are built, how they function, how they behave, how they evolve, and how they interact with the environment. Zoologists investigate anatomy and physiology, behavior, genetic and evolution, ecology and conservation, interaction with climate, human, and the global ecosystem. Zoologists work in natural habitat, forest, mountain, oceans, zoos and conservation centers, laboratories, wildlife hospitals, natural parks, and biodiversity hotspots. Modern zoology is interdisciplinary, combined genetic, ecology, physiology, ethology, and conservation science. The origin of animal life, early life. Life began around 4 billion years ago. The earliest ancestor of all organisms is the last universal common ancestor, LUCA. How many species have existed? Over 1 billion species lived through history. About 98% are now extinct. Only 1.5 million animal species have been formally described today. The real number is estimated at 2 to 8 millions, meaning millions remain undiscovered. The first living system, protozoal, early life began as protozoals, simple membrane-bound structures with basic metabolism, limited replication, primitive hereditary. The DNA and RNA system, a major leap occurred with the evolution of DNA, the blueprint of life, RNA, the molecular, the read DNA, that read DNA and build protein. DNA and RNA. DNA, the blueprint of life, RNA, the molecule that read DNA and builds protein. Cell division and mutation during mitosis, DNA replicate, the nucleus divide, the cell split into two identical cells. Replication is imperfect, producing mutation. Some harmful, many natural, some beneficial. These drive evolution. Mutation, the engine of evolution. Each human cell contains 6 billion nucleotides. When DNA copies itself, small errors occur. Mutations are essential because they create genetic variations. Without mutation, evolution can't happen. Darwin, Mendel, and Pasteur, foundations of modern zoology. Charles Darwin, evolution by natural selection. Gregory Mendel, hereditary, governed by genetic factors. Louis Pasteur discovered spontaneous generation, foundation for microbiology. Together, they discoveries form the backbone of evolutionary biology. Ernst Mayr, five principles of evolution. Life is constantly changing. Number one, life is constantly changing. Number two, all organisms share a common ancestor. Number three, new species arise from older ones through branching. Number four, evolution occurs gradually. Number five, natural selection determines which tree persists. These principles explain the diversity of life. Natural selection versus artificial selection. Natural selection, environmental select trait that increase survival and reproduction. Artificial selection, human intentionally selected trait to propagate. Dogs, breeds, crop varieties, livestock characteristic both rely on genetic variation, but the selection agent differ. Species taxonomy clades. Species, Ernst Mayr defined a species as a reproductive community of population, reproductively isolated from other, occupying a specific niche. Reproductive community of population, reproductively isolated from the other, occupying a specific niche. Classical taxonomy, hierarchy from broadest to narrowest. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Cladistic, a clade include a common ancestors, all its descendants, and all its descendants. Cladistic focus on evolutionary relationship rather than appearance alone. What do zoologists actually do? Zoologists conduct field research, study animal population in zoos, analyze behavior, reproduction, and physiology, run conservation and breeding program, manage endangered species, restore damaged ecosystems, study diseases that affects animal and humans, work with local communities to reduce human-wild conflict. Zoos are now scientific institutions, not just tourist attraction. Why biodiversity matter? Health ecosystem require predators, herbivores, decomposers, pollinators, microbes, vegetations, climate balance. Losing one species can destabilize the entire system. Losing one species can destabilizing the entire system. Human impact, habitat loss, population, invasive species are the main threats. Biologists work to protect biodiversity and maintain ecological resilience. And let test your understanding of this lecture. What is LUCA? LUCA answer the last universal common ancestor. The last universal common ancestor. It's the earliest known ancestor of all life on Earth. Why are mutation important for evolution? Why are mutations important for evolution? They create genetic variation. Without variation, natural selection can't operate. Give one difference between natural and artificial selection. Natural selection is driven by environmental pressure. Artificial selection is driven by human. The selection force differ, but both rely on inherited traits. What is clades? A group containing a common ancestor and all its descendants. Clades illustrate evolutionary relationship. Why is biodiversity essential for ecosystem? It ensures stability and resilience. Each species play even questionable role in ecological balance. Practical notes and activities build a food web. Students select 6 to 10 local species and construct a simple food web showing predator, prey, and the mutualistic relationship. Mutation simulation, activity 2, mutation simulation. Study copy a short DNA sequence on paper several times. Small copying error demonstrate how mutation occur. Cladogram construction provides students with traits of several species and have them through a simple evolutionary tree. Ecosystem rule mapping. Student pick one species and identify its niche, its predator and prey, its ecological importance. Case scenario, decline of a key pollinator. A protected nature reserve report a 70% decline in a local bee species. In the following months, flowering rates drop. Seed eating birds decrease. Certain tree species fail to fruit. Pests increased due to weaker plant health. The question, what ecological role does this bee species play? How does it decline disrupt the food web? What actions should geologists take to restore ecosystem balance? Key takeaways: zoology is a broad scientific discipline. Back up the lecture. Zoology is a broad scientific discipline integrates genetic evolution, ecology, and animal behavior. Life began billions of years ago from a common ancestor. DNA, RNA, and mutation form the basis of evolution. Darwin, Mendel, and Pasteur shape modern biological science. Natural and artificial selection both shape species but have different selection agents. Species, taxonomy, clade help organize the tree of life. Zoologists are essential for research, conservation, ecosystem management. Biodiversity is critical for ecosystem health and resilience.